Hey y'all, how you doing today? CVMG coming back at you with a little bit more Infinite Magicraid, and in our last video, we covered half of the legendary characters on a tier list. Now this isn't like some definitive tier list, we're just having a little bit of fun, but I figured I might as well just go ahead and finish that up. Starting with the Holy Parliament, because that's where we left off. Don't forget, if you want to follow along in game, you could use my personal Infinite Magicraid download link, but without wasting too much time, let's just get into it. Alina is pretty cool. She's like the legendary version of Holder. She has counterattacks and does a lot of bleeds, but the problem is her ultimate isn't as good as Holder's for some reason. In terms of all of her other abilities, all the other ones are like way better, but that ultimate just isn't that good, but it's enough for me to bring her down to an A tier. I'm honestly not a big fan of Olga at all. She's just mostly single target. Her multipliers aren't that high, but she has defenses incorporated into her kit. Like she takes 25% less direct damage. Like that even matters whenever you're an attacker with 3700 base defense. I mean, come on. If you got like Olga and you got 3 copies of her for whatever reason, then build her. But I would honestly pick a lot of epics over her, like a lot of epics over her. So I'll rate her in the F tier. Fiona isn't particularly the best in any area, but she does so much stuff that you have to rate her pretty highly. Like she's immune to a lot of these debuffs that are pretty annoying. She has an AoE stun, which is always fun. She's got an inferior wound on her first skill, which is helpful a lot of the time. I would give her like a low S tier, to be honest. Shielder used to be the man back in the day. A lot of people used to use this dude for his AoE silence. It can actually deal a lot of damage. He's defense based, so he doesn't take a lot of damage. He gives himself a lot of shields. Defense is going to be a lot better in the end game for arena defenses and things like that, which isn't really good for progression. I rate progression higher than like in-game stuff, because whenever you talk about, oh, I have my shielder is the best and he's exclusive level 3, like, okay, cool, so you're part of the 0.01% that has an exclusive 3 shielder. Whenever I talk about these guys, by the way, I'm talking about them at exclusive 0. Like if you could get them at exclusive 1 for $100, then maybe I'll consider like their exclusive 1 ability. But other than that, I'm just talking about them at base, and him at base is not really that good, so he's gonna get a B. Elena is an AoE stripper, which is pretty rare in this game, and she's also got some crit damage. What is that called? Tenacity. She's got a little bit of a tenacity buff for your entire team just passively. She's also got an AoE cleanse. I mean, she really does cover a lot of support roles. In terms of support, I would definitely put her in the S tier. Hisaru is really good for the guild boss and bosses with a lot of defense and HP. All of these super tanky enemies that you have to fight, people with damage over time really help take care of that. He passively increases his own bleed as the fight goes on, so if you have a long fight, you can expect him to do some mad damage. On a bleed team for like the guild boss, he would definitely be a double S, but if he's the only bleed unit on your team, and I actually see that way more often than I just see him on a regular bleed team, then I'm gonna put him down in the B, because he gets tossed super easily without a proper support. Malik is like a tank that increases the damage that the enemy takes, and he's got some single target freezes incorporated in that build too. If he was on a freeze team, he could probably land a few freezes to probably heal your rumble or make sure that your Aghuli's turn meter reduction works, so he could probably be an A tier on a freeze team. But if he's not on a freeze team and he's the only freeze unit you got going for you, then he's just gonna be a C. Zyra is a pretty good arena character. I have my Zyra at exclusive weapon too. I plan on taking her to 3 once I get the chance to buy another pack, but right now she's not really performing too well for me. I'm sure that she's going to pick up later. These attacks that she has, don't get me wrong, they are amazing. She has attack break and defense break on skill 1. She could potentially get 3 freezes in a row with the second skill. I've seen it happen. Arenas are usually done after 1 or 2 turns, so she's really good for that. So in the arena, she's going to be an S tier. Whenever I use her on bosses and stuff, or if I use her for grinding, she doesn't do enough damage. She doesn't really, you know, make my team progress any faster through the waves, and she just takes up a lot of time. I find myself unslotting her a lot in PvE, so I guess for PvE, I'll put her in like a C. Gromdy, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt if you use this guy on a freeze team, because he can land a lot of freezes, which just triggering the freeze is usually all it takes for somebody's tooltip to activate. Like, by that I mean if a Ghoulie wanted to decrease the enemy's attack bar by 100%, then the enemy has to be frozen. So he's going to be good for making sure that the enemies are frozen for that kind of stuff to happen. He has a lot of utility in that kit, and I actually do find him very interesting and fun. So I will give him an S tier if you're doing a freeze team, right? Even if he's not on a freeze team though, I'm gonna go ahead and give him like a B tier, because you could still get a decent amount of freezes off on the enemy team just with him alone. May is going to be a pretty good carry. She has multiple area of effect attacks, and this one that puts area of effect Horrify on everybody is horrifying. Don't leave. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. But anyways, yeah, the AoE Horrify is really good. S tier. So I see Lamb all the time in the arena. I bet you that he's really good for all of these tank teams that people have going around because he destroys a percentage of the enemy's max HP, which is really good for, you know, anti-tanking, anti-healing people. But I have one of those just AoE nuke sweep teams, so I take him out every single time. It really just depends on the synergy of your team, like all characters do, obviously. It's not like a character is going to be S tier in every single situation, but this guy is just S tier in such a niche situation to me that I think he's really pointless. Like, if you have this guy just for lowering enemy max HP, you wasted a slot. D tier. Dario is absolutely insane. He does an immense amount of damage. It's single target, but it's multi-target because as he builds up his stacks, he just continues to attack. And if he kills somebody, you can guarantee that he's going to attack again. So on a stage with a lot of enemies, like that dragon dungeon, he's just going to go whoop-ah, 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 over and over and over. Even single target, he's just going to multi-hit a single person with how his kit works. He's super, super good S tier. Turf is probably like A tier on a poison team to me. I see him used a lot. I wonder if like people rerolled for him because they wanted him on their poison team, but there's so many poison just characters in general, right? That I feel deep poisoning isn't really that necessary. Having 9 stacks of poison is going to melt somebody whether they have deep poisoning on them or not. He can counterattack and he has shields and defenses, but he's labeled as an attacker. I mean, people with counterattack are usually like S tier, double S tier, but oh God, I'll give him an A. Carrie, in my opinion, is just ass. Like, her multipliers aren't that high. Part of her kit involves her dying, so if you have a revive team, that's cool. But if you don't have any revivers, then, I mean, taking 3 turns to revive yourself is pretty lame. I'm not a fan at all. F tier. Zach Zulu just simply doesn't do enough. He can slash people, which slashing, for those of you that don't know, means once your HP reaches a certain percentage, you just insta-die, and that's really, really cool. Dario can do that too, but he's just pretty much not doing enough damage. All of his attacks are really boring. His debuffs are kind of, you know, underwhelming. Same debuff on both first and second skill. I'm not a big fan of Zach Zulu, D tier. Ascendo! If you need to silence, there you go. This is your character for silencing. Just silence. First skill, silence. Second skill, silence. Third skill, silence. Do you really need me to go on and on about it? If you need a silence, then this is the perfect character for you. And a lot of people actually do need silence. But, I mean, come on, man. Do one other thing, at least. I'll give you a B tier. Carrod's kit revolves around Horrify. He's got an AoE Horrify on the ultimate, but something interesting about him is his first skill is an AoE attack, which, like in a game like Summoners War, where you have sets that do stuns, like the Despair set, that would be a God mode first skill, but in this game, first skill doesn't really do a lot of damage, so he's not really doing much more than anyone else is, because every other character has area of effect attacks in this game. So it's not like he's pulling anything too impressive, except for the Horrify. I love the Horrify, so B tier. If you have Agatha, then you're just completely pay to win. This character is completely OP. If you know how to obtain her, then you know why she's completely OP. I feel like I don't even really have to delve into her too much, because if you're free to play, you're never gonna get her. And if you're pay to win, you're probably gonna get her after like a year. So I'll talk to you about her in a year. Double S tier. Freesh, this is attack down 2 king. He reduces the damage that the enemy team deals, and he has an AoE taunt, an AoE shield. He's got provoke. He's just super tank boy. Super tank boy. Double S tier tank. Gustav is really annoying, like this passive that he has that just grants him immortal whenever he dies. If you pull some wombo combo gimmicks and manipulate your turn meter so that he gets multiple turns and the enemy doesn't get enough, you could just make him invincible. You could completely break the game. If you're smart enough to do that and you actually have a team that does that, then I guess he's an S tier for you. If he's just sort of on your team because for no other reason, he doesn't trigger that probably more than once, and then he just dies right afterwards. So then he would be a C for you. Sinton, double S tier. He has an AoE provoke that just makes everybody attack him, and then he counterattacks. He also has a lot of defenses and gives himself a defense 2 buff. This is one of the best characters in the entire game, 100%, so double S tier. Eric sucks. I hate this guy so much. He has his gimmick where he throws extra bombs at people if they detonate, right? If they have burn and are detonating. So first of all, you need an entire burn team for this to happen. The enemy needs to be burned, and then the chances of you proccing his level 3 exclusive equipment, which is his redeeming quality, is only 35%. He throws a bomb and has a 35% chance that it doesn't actually count as a proc and he gets to throw another one. Which, sure, I guess if you were the luckiest person in the world, then you could probably get like 10 hits out of that once in your lifetime. More likely than not, you'll probably get it every other turn for 1 or 2 extra hits. So D tier. B tier on a burn team. Mutu does a huge amount of damage. The fact that he grants himself an attack 2 buff in an extra turn for a multiplier that does nearly 1,000 damage is absolutely amazing. You can do more damage with him than probably 99% of the other characters in this game. So does that make him a double S tier? Not really, because he is only single target and his first skill doesn't even have a status ailment. He also has to build up that boiling initially, which is sort of a setback, so I will put him in the S though. Because of how much damage he does deserve an S. Jarina, this is that character that I'm always referring to whenever I'm saying, well, I guess if you had that crazy niche revival team, then this character would be good. This is the person that I'm thinking of. She has an ability that just makes everyone on your team immortal, or if they're dead, it revives them and makes them immortal. Super, super good for a revive team. If you need a reviver, there you go. S tier reviver. If she's the only reviver on your team, she's still probably an A tier because she has an AoE first skill that has defense break. Aisha, another first skill AoE. Now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of these legendaries have this first skill AoE, don't they? So she is an attacker, and that is cool. She has a little bit of defense incorporated into her kit too, where she gets to go invincible once per turn. This second skill does huge boy damage, and this third skill is an AoE that does big damage. So I guess in terms of attacker, she would be like an A tier or a low S. I know it seems like every attacker is an S, but whenever you get to legendary AoE attackers that have AoEs on the first skill and huge multipliers, then that's just what you get. Kimmy! This is the rarest character for putting level 2 debuffs on the enemies. You have level 2 speed down on your first skill, and on your ultimate you have level 2 attack down and level 2 crit rate down. No other character can you put all these debuffs on there, so in terms of debuffing, I would say he is the best debuffer in the game, double S tier debuffer. And the Wizard Eye, Space. So Space is like Bernard for Summoner's War. She's the one in the, not even just arena, in every single bit of content in the game that allows you to go first. She fills up her attack bar by a large percentage initially, and then speed is calculated so that she can move, and then whenever you use her ultimate, it boosts your ally's attack bar as well. Whenever she is max exclusive weapon, which I don't think it would be impossible for you to get a Space maximum exclusive weapon if you were lucky enough to pull one, because they give you one for free. If you need turn manipulation, there's an S tier for you. Elik is the character for you if you want to take less area of effect damage, because so many characters in this game deal area of effect damage. Here is an area of effect defense level 2 buff and a tenacity up buff, which reduces the crit damage taken, paired with consolidation 2. Okay, consolidation is pretty common, but all three of those things considered, you don't get more damage reduction than that. Double S tier whenever it comes to being a damage reducer tank. That's not always good. You don't always need a damage reducer like in Guild Boss, so in Guild Boss he would be an F tier. Take that with you. There's some food for thought. Sylvel is damage, damage, damage. Not a single turn that she will take where she will not deal a huge amount of single target damage. Even her first skill is a 2-part attack that inflicts a defense break and then guarantees a crit on the second attack. You have huge multipliers for her ultimate and a pretty decent base attack paired with being an attacker. She will see big numbers, big hits. A tier in terms of being a single target attacker. Here's one that'll piss you off because I know so many people have Valentine as their main. I see him constantly. He is very, very good. He has self-sustain and then he does a lot of damage with these area of effect attacks. His kit has what, 6 abilities instead of the usual 4, having a 4,350 base attack. These multipliers are not high enough to actually kill anybody, because he doesn't kill anybody whenever I fight him. So I'll give him an A tier. Hal 9000 is just there to be annoying. He's the most annoying provoke tank that there is. He takes minimal damage, just grants himself immortality, and then forces everybody to attack him. It's super annoying. S tier in the arena. I guess also in PvE that's pretty good too, isn't it? So S tier. Nidrold is the #1 damage dealer for Guild Boss because of all of the stacks of bleed he can land with his ultimate, and it's a 5-part attack with a 1000% multiplier. You will be putting on a lot of stacks of bleed, dealing a lot of damage. Double S tier for the Guild Boss. If you have to deal with a bunch of waves, he also has area of effect attacks to take care of that. He's just essentially your God mode bleeder. So there you go. Double S tier on a bleed team. S tier otherwise. And finally, Anna. I don't care. I don't like Anna. The second skill whenever you level up the exclusive equipment becomes an AoE, but it only lands 1 stack of burn. You have an ultimate that just lands burn. I mean, she can do a lot of damage, and part of her passive is that she increases the burn damage of everyone else on your team, so she would be essential for a burn team. S tier on a burn team, but if she's the only burn unit on your team, then she's like a B tier, bro. Alright, and that covers every single legendary in the game. If you got this far, then I'm assuming you're not one of the people that just came in here, dropped a dislike because I rated their carry too low, and left a hate comment. So thanks so much for that. I appreciate maturity that I receive from some of you. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. I plan to bring you more content in the future. Thank you so much for watching. But other than that, y'all, that's gonna do it for me today. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.